This is the last clip in the introductory session. So the first thing we want to talk about is anatomical position. And the reason we need to understand what anatomical position is that when we discuss the body as healthcare providers, we need to all be thinking of the body in a certain position when we're describing something. So if you're describing someone's pain, then we need to always know that we're talking about the body in this position, even though you might see the person as they're laying down or whatever. So it allows us to have a communication tool to discuss terms. So it's the body, the person looks like this, face forward, palms forward, or supinated, I want some soup, sir, and feet forward. That's how we discuss anatomical position. As well, there are a number of terms associated with the body. There's a good picture in your textbook that will help you go over this, so take a look at it. Now, inferior, of course, is above. Superior, is above. Inferior is below. Anterior is towards the front. Posterior is to the back. So when we talk about medial, we're talking about closer to the midline, okay? This is an area that is often confusing. So like, for example, the inner corner of your eye is closer to the midline. Lateral is farther away from the midline. So the lateral corner of your eye, or your lateral malleolus, which is your ankle bone. Proximal and distal also get confused too, as well. And proximal means closer to the trunk. So when we're talking about this, we're referring to the body. So it's about your limbs. So if your shoulder is proximal to your elbow, okay, distal being farther away, farther away from the body. So your fingers are distal to your elbow. And that's talking distancing distance. And superficial, surface versus deep. These are ways we sometimes discuss things like lacerations or pain, something like that. There, as well, we look at various transections through the body, or what we call planes. And there's three that we talk about. Sagittal, which divides the body into right and left. It's not always equal. Transverse, which is upper and lower, or inferior and superior. So it goes through across the body. And frontal, which divides the body into anterior and posterior. So let's take a look at these pictures, okay? So this is sagittal. So this means right and left, and they're not always equal. This is about superior versus inferior. Okay, and this is the front here, anterior versus posterior. So it just gives you some reference points. And a lot of, for example, CAT scans always have a transverse section through them. Gain a different picture. It helps you look at what you might see there if we were looking. The other thing is that our body is divided into principal cavities. And so those principal cavities, there are two, the dorsal, which is posterior. Think of the dorsal fin in the fish. And the ventral, which is anterior. Okay. So I'm going to go actually to the pictures here. So here we have, I'm going to trace around it. This is the dorsal, and the dorsal houses two things. It houses the brain and the spinal cord. So brain up here and spinal cord down here. This is a lateral view of the ventral cavity. Okay, so this is posterior. And this is anterior. Okay, and in the thoracic cavity, okay, we have the lungs. So the abdominal pelvic cavity, the ventral cavity, sorry, has two parts to it. The thoracic cavity, which has the lungs in it, and the abdominal pelvic cavity, which has the abdominal organs and the pelvic organs. Now, in between these two, we have the diaphragm, which is an airtight, watertight seal. So they're separated, but in the abdominal pelvic cavity, we do not have that same separation between the abdomen and the pelvic. The pelvic bones are sort of where the abdominal pelvic cavity begins. Just a different look. Again, the diaphragm would be here. Collectively, we're looking at the ventral cavity. The upper portion, of course, is the thoracic cavity, and the lower is the abdominal pelvic cavity. As well, we look at regions. So we can either divide the body into, I'm going to go to the next picture, a tic-tac-toe board to give regions. So a couple of things to remember. Hypo means below, okay? So if you are hypovolemic, you have low water on board. Hypo, below, okay? Epi, above, okay? And those will help you sort of see those. So this is one way you might see descriptions on a chart when they're talking, say they're talking about some pain. They might say the pain's in the right iliac region versus quadrants. And I'm going to go to that next picture. So the other way to describe the body is divide it with an X in the middle through the umbilicus area. And that gives us our 4 quadrants: right upper, right lower, left lower. So that's the end of the clips for the introduction session. What we're going to look at here is how is the body organized. It's always organized from simple to complex. So I'm going to take you to the next slide first. Okay, so right here we have the atom, which is what we know as the smallest component, and collectively they come together to be molecules. Okay, and multiple molecules together become what we call a macromolecule. Now we're going to look at the cell here. Inside the cell, there are little working parts called organelles, and we'll talk about that when we get into the cell more, but these are the functioning pieces inside the cell. Cells collectively come together to form tissues, and there's 4 types of tissues, and we'll talk about those 4 tissues in, I think it's session 5 that we talk about tissues. Collectively, those 4 tissues make up our various organs. Organs, there are a number of systems in the body called organ systems, like skeletal, muscular, cardiovascular. This is the digestive system. And in every organ system, there's a number of organs that work together to produce the function that we need. In the digestive system, we're looking for digesting our food, removing waste. Collectively, these systems become what we call the organism or the person. Just take a little note here, this person standing in anatomical position. And we're going to talk about that in a couple of slides. So when we were in the last set of pictures, we were looking at, we talked about organ systems. So there are organ systems in our body: integumentary, skin; skeletal, you all know that's our bones, muscles; nervous system, and the endocrine system. They work together to maintain, they're the prime maintainers of homeostasis. The circulatory, I've lumped 2 systems in there: cardiovascular, which is blood, and lymphatics, which is the fluid that helps us protect us in defense mechanisms. Your digestive system, obviously we understand that. Respiratory, how we exchange gases from the environment and get it into our body. Urinary, and of course, reproductive system. Each of these systems, although they're independent, they work specifically. We need them all to be working for us to be healthy and well. So we can have a problem in a certain system, like you could have a problem in your digestive system, like an ulcer, and your body would still function, but you wouldn't be as well as you could be. All together, they all got to work together to maintain our homeostasis. And in every organ system, we have organs and accessory organs. The accessory organs help the main organ. So in the digestive system, for example, the main organ is the digestive tube, which includes the esophagus, the stomach, and the large and small bowel. Helping them are the other organs like the liver and the pancreas and the gallbladder. And as I said before, the nervous and endocrine system work together are the most vital when we're trying to maintain homeostasis. And that's the end of our clip.